So here we have it. Tyron Woodley trying to make that Anderson Silva/Conor McGregor money. The welterweight champ just called out Stockton's Nick Diaz, and to make it even more fitting, he wants the matchup to take place on the UFC 209 card. As most of you probably know, 209 is the area code from where Nate and Nick Diaz reside in Stockton, California. Tyron put this message out on Twitter directed to the media as well as Dana White. Is Nick Diaz free to scrap too? Perfect time for UFC 209, I have the perfect person in mind. In 2015, Nick Diaz had a controversial failed drug test to marijuana which has left him unable to compete for some time. At one point he was banned for 5 years, but after an uproar from fans and fellow fighters, Nick's suspension was reduced to 18 months. He was cleared to fight by the Nevada Commission on December 8. Tyron has been in search for a big fight since winning his title against Robbie Lawler. He called out George St. Pierre and Nick Diaz but ended up being scheduled to face the #1 contender at the time, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. The fight ended in a majority draw which meant that Woodley would remain champion. Now if a title bout ended in a draw 5 years ago, we would almost automatically expect the next fight for the title to be a rematch. However, things are changing, as it's no longer about just defending your title against the #1 contender, but rather creating a matchup that will draw as many viewers as possible. There is also Damian Maia waiting on the sidelines. He is currently on a 6-fight win streak, half of those victories coming by way of rear naked choke. During the UFC 205 post-fight press conference, Woodley mentioned that he was ready to take on Conor McGregor if the matchup presented itself.
I mean, if he wants to fight, we can sign it right now. I'm good on the fight. I just don't think it's a good idea for him to fight me.
Some may say Woodley is ducking opponents, but from his perspective, he's likely just trying to secure as much cash as he can while the window of opportunity presents itself. So how likely is it that we will see this match happen? It really comes down to whether or not Nick Diaz is interested in the fight. Nick is just like Woodley, where he's looking for the fights that are going to generate as much income as possible. So the real question is Tyron Woodley versus Nick Diaz a draw to the fans? I think so. Woodley has fans as well as haters, which means people are talking about him. His fights are also usually pretty entertaining too. The Diaz brothers are some of the most popular fighters out there, so it makes sense for Woodley to call one of them out and try to get as many eyes on him competing as possible. I'd definitely be watching, would you? Or do you think there's other matches out there that Nick or Tyron should have instead?